This is not likely to be the video that you think it's going to be. This is not a video that will be product reviewing the Sage Barista Pro Stainless Steel Edition. This rather is a video about how I am trying to produce a product for machines that are similar to this. So to kickstart this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to define the scope of the project and give you reasons why I'm choosing to do this and why I'm choosing to communicate it in this way. About 12 months ago, I took receipt of and subsequently installed the Loring S15 Falcon, which is just behind me. This roasting apparatus predominantly uses heat transfer via air. It is a convection roaster. Now, this is very different in its roasted output to the Probat that I was roasting on previously. This is a very classic German design drum roaster, and both of these apparatus produce a very, very different roasted product. The Loring is exceptionally good at creating really light colored roasted coffee. Now, light colored coffee is wonderful at being able to be expressive of terroir. So what that cultivar, the processing method really means about the country of origin. These sorts of very light coloration in coffee are very well suited to filter base. So that's everything but espresso. Now, the challenge with this is, can I produce a light colored coffee that also works as a really expressive espresso? The Probat and drum roasters are synonymous with being able to produce lots of big body, which is great for espresso, or espresso as we knew it. The test with this is, can I transfer everything that I did know inside of the Probat onto what I could know inside of the Loring? Now, the reason why I'm in this position is that when I first started roasting on the Loring, I really wanted to go as light as I possibly could to make sure that the coffee is as naked, as we call it in the trade, as it possibly can be. This benefits everybody who's brewing on anything but espresso, but I do realize that in the pursuit of this, I'm forgetting a bunch of people that may be brewing espresso at home. So when people came into the roastery or when I was at the market, I asked people what type of equipment they use at home. And the most common brand was Sage, and inside of there, the Barista Express, or the newer version, the Barista Pro, seemed to be the middle point. So what I've gone and done then is purchase the median of my sample set. The next conundrum was trying to design what I feel espresso is. The type of espresso that really motivated me to get into coffee back in 2008, 9 and maybe beyond. So that is a brew ratio of what we would describe as a 1 to 1.55. So for every 1 gram of dry dose we use, we yield 1.55 grams of liquid espresso out the other side. This is slightly more restricted than the average today, the average being a 1 to 2. So for every 1 gram of dry dose we use, we yield 2 grams of wet. But I wanted to just ignore all of that, and I wanted to create a product line that made me happy. Never mind you guys at home, that made me happy. I want texture, I want sweetness, I want acidity and clarity, and I want all of those things to come together in a ratio of 1 to 1.55. In order for everybody to have the same experience at home, I need to set some standards. One standard is water, next is going to be dose and yield. I want to try and find an extraction time that can be communicated easily to those people who wish to go along this journey, and also use a coffee that, again, is accessible to everybody. So here are some of the standards. We're going to use Volvic bottled water. This isn't exactly the perfect water for coffee, but it's pretty darn close. It is also something that everybody can have access to. Of course, once I've designed a profile, I will also investigate other water profiles, but I'm going to use this as my standard to benchmark this roast and the recipe from. I'm going to use a core product. This is Pantano. I've been roasting Pantano for 1,000 years. Not 1,000 years, but probably closer to 15. This is available all year round. It is something that I've roasted an awful lot of, so I as a roaster have plenty of information. I know what this thing tastes like. So therefore I know how to be able to push the limits of this and what the expectation should be. It is also something that many of you may have already tried. So there's the other standard or control. I will then be using 18 grams for this particular brew process. 18 grams as a dose is a European standard today. We've migrated away from 14 grams into something a bit more so that we can be a bit more pursuant of larger doses for lighter colored coffee. I'm going to make sure that I weigh my inputs and I weigh my outputs. There are going to be some other things that I set, but those are going to be the fundamental starting blocks of this experiment. I'm also going to use this opportunity to test resting time. The coffee that I'm going to begin benchmarking is 14 days off roast. It could be that we need to take this coffee further still. Is it going to be 21 days off roast? Is it going to be more? 4 weeks, 5 weeks? I don't know. I will do these testings, which as a caveat means that this series of videos might be a little bit more elongated than you hoped for. What I'm trying to say is that there's going to be an awful lot of work that will go into this video series, and hopefully the yield will be something that I, as a retailer, can guarantee that you're going to have some fun with at home. What I do need from you going forward is to try the product when I release it, and also patience. You're going to need patience because these things, these experiments, they take time to formulate, time to execute. And as we approach busy season, it's going to be a pretty tall task. Now, as usual, I've overrun on everything. It's taken way too long for me to get to this point. And actually, the thing that I was going to do, and that is set out some benchmark espresso shots on the equipment today, I haven't been able to achieve. So tune back for the second video in this series where I will actually begin to use the equipment. In that, I will create an espresso shot to my recipe with 2 separate batches of the Pantano, both with 2 different heat applications, and I will describe those in that particular video. Until then, have a great day. See you again soon.